I then went home and decided I guess to go from one war zone into another. I entered politics.
I too found myself back home at the urging of my mother. She never liked the idea of my living in New York. And since I hadn't made it into Martha Graham's major company, I returned home to become the Martha Graham of Grand Rapids. Started my own dance company and began working at a local department store as an assistant to the fashion coordinator. At the age of 24, I got married to Bill Warren. Ironically, the fellow took me out on my first date years ago. Bill went from one job to another, and we moved from one city to another, eventually coming home to Grand Rapids. But Bill loved the bars, and he loved the women. It finally got to the point where I thought, he can do what he wants with his life, damn it all, this is not for me. I was writing a note telling him it was over when the telephone rang. Bill was in Boston on a business trip. He had suffered a diabetic seizure and was in a coma. I couldn't leave him then. He lost all use of his legs, and for the next 2 years, Bill's parents and I took care of him. I just figured this is my cross to bear. Suddenly recovered, found a job, and was able to care for himself. Then I went through with the divorce, Bill not putting up a fight at all. I was 9 years old, a divorced woman, and I did not want to hear anybody mention the word marriage. I'd make my way in the fashion world.
My law practice was going well, and following the example of my parents, I was a big organization joiner, loved every minute of it. In 1947, I was planning our local cancer drive with some friends when I asked them if they knew of any women a man my age, 34, could date. They replied,
Betty Warren. I got a phone call minutes afterwards from Gerald Ford wanting to take me out for a drink. I told him, I have a big fashion show in the morning and my divorce is not yet final.
Come on, Betty.
He was a turn persistent and so persuasive I gave in. But I made it clear from the beginning, I'm not interested in a serious relationship.
Neither am I. I just entered politics and that's going to take up most of my time. That first date over drinks was August of 47, but we both continued dating other people.
Well, over the Christmas, New Year's holidays, Jerry went to Sun Valley to ski. He loved skiing. And I went to New York in fashion business. We were apart for 3 weeks. I guess absence does make the heart grow fonder. It was in February that Jerry proposed in a very romantic manner.
I'd like to marry you.
Yes. I didn't want him to change his mind. Then he said something very mysterious.
We can't get married till the fall because I have something I have to do first, and I can't tell you what it is.
How's that to start a relationship on trust? Eventually, a few months later, Jerry let the cat out of the bag and told me.
I'm running for Congress.
I really wasn't sure what that entailed, but I wasn't too worried because I felt he could never win. Jerry had to run in the Republican primary election against our sitting Congressman Yonkman, who had won the past 4 elections. But there was a difference between them. Yonkman was an isolationist. Jerry, because of his war experience, was not. Then Jerry got help from a most unexpected person.
Democratic President Harry Truman. He called for a special session of Congress which kept Yonkman in Washington for weeks, while I then had the field all to myself. On September 14, 1948, I won the primary, and 1 month later, on Friday, October 15, 1948, we were married at the Grace Episcopal Church. Our honeymoon...
No, you're not getting away that easy. You let me talk about our wedding and honeymoon. I was waiting at the church at 4 p.m. with the wedding party and the best man, but no groom. Jerry had been out campaigning for the general election. He was so late, I later told him I was ready to marry the best man. When he finally showed up, Jerry looked so wonderful in his wedding suit. Until I noticed that he had not changed his shoes, which were full of mud.
And I got an earful from my mother for that. Well, after the honeymoon, we went...
No. They're going to hear about the honeymoon.
Betty.
In detail. We drove from Grand Rapids to Ann Arbor on Saturday morning to a party given by the best man and Jerry's fraternity brothers. Our wedding party. which doubled as a pre-game warm-up for the Michigan Northwestern football game. Jerry went off to the game while I rested for a while before showing up at halftime. On Saturday night, there was another typical honeymoon event. We drove 70 miles to hear Republican presidential candidate Tom Dewey speak at a rally. We spent Sunday in Detroit. On Monday, we're back in Ann Arbor, so Jerry could attend a luncheon with some Michigan University faculty members. Then we headed home to Grand Rapids, and I remember thinking, life will be more normal. I was picturing us at home, I in a beautiful, relaxing gown, Jerry fixing a couple of martinis. I'd have a delicious dinner ready for the two of us, and then we'd have a relaxing first night at home as husband and wife. Well, that dream was shattered when I heard Jerry say,
I have an important political meeting tonight at 7:30, so do you think you could just fix me a bowl of soup and a sandwich?
So tomato soup and grilled cheese was his first dinner at home, and that was our honeymoon.
But